limiting beliefs. For example, if you grew up with an alcoholic as a child, and you hadn't gone through this kind of training, when you walk into that big party, the alcoholics are going to be very attracted to you because you know that energy system. All of this is happening at the level of invisible waves. You don't see that's happening. So you say, Kambiz, thank you for your speech, but I don't know that I have any self-fulfilling prophecies. I really believe I'm a free woman. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't have any. Then I would ask you one question. I would ask you, is there something in your life that has happened more than once? Some drama. Is it women, men, no money, sickness, unemployment, being betrayed by your friends, loneliness, moving to too many towns, constantly in a suitcase? Most people have at least one repeating drama. If it doesn't come now, that's okay. It may come tonight. The repeating drama is your I told you so. In other words, you're trying to prove your point of view to the universe. And the universe says, yes, ma'am. So far I've discussed two of my angles of healing. Number one, Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga has nothing to do with psychology, in a sense. I open up your 72,000 channels. We enliven the Kundalini Shakti. You have a massive cleanse out of your body, a lot of electricity going through your spine, through the breathing techniques, a lot of grace, vitality. Then we have the psychological portion, and all we're trying to do there is for you to figure out whether some of your belief systems are limiting you or not. So we're not that interested in Joy of Life about days and days of psychology. No. Like her and I, we were having a conversation, a consultation yesterday, and suddenly an unexpected tear. I wasn't trying to make her cry. She had her own insight. The details are irrelevant, but the way I work, I talk to you very simply like today, and suddenly there's an insight. Because you realize that you set up the wrong impression around an event. I'll just say one last thing about the most modern psychology. In old psychology, they used to make you go back time after time after time. Go back to the original event and relive the event. Nowadays, they don't care about that. Nowadays, they say, if you change the meaning to the event, you're going to be cured. So, let's say, unfortunately, you lost your dad when you were 6 years old. Very painful. But what modern psychology says is, if you take two brothers who lost their father on the same day, they're going to have two different experiences. Why? Because each brother may have a different impression of what happened. One of them may say, Daddy went to heaven. The other may say, Daddy went into the grave. The one who thinks Daddy went underground is going to suffer more than the one that says Daddy became light. So in the most modern approach to psychology, the meaning that you attach to what happens can completely change your emotions. For example, somebody steals the radio to your Mercedes. So you say, oh, what horrible luck. And then you go to Radio Shack to change your CD player, and you meet your future wife, who's behind the counter. So then was it bad to have your radio stored or not? So you see, what this modern approach says is be careful with the meanings that you attach. Don't be so focused on events. A lot of people expect magic out of yoga. It's going to change my life. What true yoga does for you, it changes your outlook. So it's the same Miami design this week, but your lens isn't changing. You live more in the present. You appreciate your growth. You appreciate the ocean. For those of you who've already changed, if you really think about why you've changed, the reason you've changed is because your lens has changed. You have the same sun, you have the same apartment, but you're seeing the same apartment differently. That's why spirituality changes. So I've discussed the psychological approach to healing, the way I deal. Secondly, Kriya Yoga. Now I'm going to talk about the third approach. In discussing the third approach, I'll just start with a simple conversation. Most people will agree that the world is made of energy. In other words, the waves in the Atlantic are a kind of energy. Sunlight is energy. Electricity is energy. So, if we agree that all of life is energy, then we might agree that the one who created life is also a form of energy. So, your whole body is energy, sunlight is energy, wind is energy, Atlantic energy, the Atlantic Ocean is energy. So what about God? Why shouldn't the Creator be a form of energy instead of some man with an ear? Okay, so if God is energy, then most scientists will tell you that energy is measured in waves and vibrations. So in the world of science, energy is waves and vibrations. And this is exactly what the ancient scriptures of India say. In India, they say God has three states, three ways of being. The first state of God is Ananda. They say God has one form which is unmoving ocean of bliss. In other words, the non-moving aspect of God is just bliss, pure happiness. God being happy with God, nothing else. The second state of God is called Shiva, is pure wisdom. It's wisdom without thought. That's called consciousness. In yoga, they call God consciousness, which is wisdom and awareness without thought. In yoga, we believe that you can be wiser if you're not thinking too much. See, in MIT or Harvard, you may say, the more you think, the smarter you are. Yoga says if you can make this empty, in the emptiness, you can access intuition. You can access a higher form of intelligence. So, let's think about the three states of God, according to the Vedantas. One is just pure bliss. There's no movement. The second one is willpower of God before God acts. It's just, willpower is just pure awareness. This is awareness. It's wisdom. It's being here in the moment without thought. That's wisdom. According to yoga, that's wisdom. If you can sit by the ocean and just watch the waves and not think, that's wisdom. If any of you are able to do that, you see it clears your mind. If you're really worried and you go on a walk next to the ocean and you just listen to the waves, it clears your mind. Why? Because you're not analyzing, you're just listening to the wave. Or if you watch the clouds, it clears your mind. That's called pure consciousness. That's the second form of God. It's the second state of God. They call it Shiva. The third state is called Shakti, movement. It's the moment of creation when two atoms come together. So God acts in 3 ways. One is just pure bliss, non-moving. Second one, wisdom, right before acting. Third one, Shakti, action. So if you want to live a good life, I teach you the formula. The formula that I teach is meditate, act, meditate, act, meditate, act. Just like God. God rests and then acts. Rests and acts. This is what they say in the 3,000-year-old sutras and Vedantas. Don't worry about anything. Just go into silence, come out and act. If you're a person like that, you will be completely successful in my own. On this talk, I want to give you a piece of advice based on 25 years of experience in teaching this. The more your lenses are focused on the outside, the more confused you will be. Let's say you want to open up an Italian restaurant in Miami. If you're a restaurateur that goes to the inside and asks yourself, what do I want to call this restaurant? What kind of spaghetti sauce do I want to make? What kind of happiness do I want to bring to my customers? You're going to be much more successful than somebody who's reviewing all the restaurant magazines, watching TV all the time to see who you can copy. So, any spiritual tradition will tell you, if you can turn your eyes inside and then act, you're going to be more powerful. Like, look at all of the things that the women are being bombarded with, how you look, your makeup, how much weight are you losing, are you wearing the right clothes? If you go crazy with that, you're not going to be a calm lady. There's just too much coming at you. So yoga says, shh, what about melody? Who is passive? So you know what they say in spirituality about this inward gaze? They don't mean for you to become antisocial. They simply say, if you want to have some sense of self-confidence, you've got to have a technique to bring your gaze inside. Am I breathing? How am I breathing? What am I feeling right now? Who are the friends that give me energy? Who are the friends that take away my energy? Which hobbies do I enjoy? Do you have an inner life? Somebody in Miami said, Kambiz, the topic of your talk is not cool. Breathing is not cool. Talk about something more funky. I won't. You know what? I want the best for you. You need to have an inner life. Are you breathing? Are you writing your diary? Can you watch the ocean for 5 minutes without freaking out? Do you constantly need to be on a cell phone? Yoga is not going to make you antisocial. But yoga says if you don't have an inner life, you're completely lost. The cell phone takes up all of your inner life. I don't care how sociable you are. You need to be able to relax with yourself. 10 minutes a day. Every animal does that. A tiger will go and find some shade and relax for 10 minutes. So forget the notion of being successful, being powerful, being beautiful without an inner life. I think the most attractive people have something on the inside. You see, you go to a club and everybody looks good, but there's going to be somebody in that club that has something here. And when they talk to you, they're not like this. Right? You go to public. I went to a New York coffee shop and everybody's like this. So then I said to my friend, who's the most attractive girl here? He said her. And I looked, and there was this girl with a smile, and she was enjoying her book. She wasn't being antisocial. She was the only one in that coffee shop, also inside. You still go out, but you have an inner life. And that's what I teach. You know, Kriya Yoga, by awakening this Kundalini, it turns your lenses on the inside also. You start to feel how you feel. Your mind becomes quieter. When you go to the beach, you can listen to the ocean for 5 minutes. So let's come back to this third method of healing that I was talking about. What I was saying is, if God is a form of vibration, then for you to make contact with the source of prosperity, with the source of nature, religion, beauty, physical strength, then you need to be vibrating at a particular frequency. So if God has a frequency and you're at a different frequency, you're going to have big problems manifesting. What does manifesting mean? It means, what's your first name?
Child. Child. C-H-A-E-L.
Child. See, if child wants something in his life, he can work for it, but he also needs some cooperation from nature. Some cooperation. In other words, there are coincidences, there's timing, there's somebody in the street telling you about some company that's hiring. All of us rely on some incidents. Right now, the two of you are here because some friend told you about this talk. So it's a coincidence of some sort. Okay? And you cannot do anything in this life without nature's cooperation. You need some cooperation. And what I'm telling you is, if nature is vibrating, and you're vibrating at a different frequency, then you're going to have big problems manifesting. The people that we call lucky are people who can send transmissions towards the natural forces at the right frequency. So if the God force is vibrating at 30 million cycles per second, and you're praying at 14 cycles per second, your prayers are not going to be heard that quickly. So in review, here's what I'm saying. Everything around you is energy. Your body is energy. The Lord is energy. So when you're dealing with the world of energy, you're dealing with this. And so somebody needs to teach you to raise this so that you start to vibrate at the same frequency as nature. How do I do that? I'll explain the formula to you. In Kriya Yoga we say, the less that you're thinking, the more quiet your mind is, the faster your body is vibrating. The faster you vibrate, the more in harmony you are with the God force. So I'll say it one more time. You see, Jesus said, be still and know that I am God. What does that mean? Be still. He meant the more quiet this becomes, the more rapidly you'll vibrate. And when you're vibrating very fast, you are near the source of creation. The more energetic your energy field is, the luckier you are. We call it luck, but in the world of physics, is because you start to vibrate at the same frequency as the Lord. So I'm explaining to you religion through physics. Everything is energy. You need to bring up your energy level, not physical energy. This subtle energy of light around your body. How is that done? The quieter your mind is, the faster you're vibrating. So all of my advanced students are now saying, Kambiz, it's scary. Because every time we start to think repetitively about something, we see it happen. They're beginning to manifest much more quickly. in this little talk that I'm having right now, I'm going to explain to you something about the difference between creation and meditation, because later on we're going to meditate. The way creation happens is that there's a really rapid, holy electricity in space. It's the God force, and it's vibrating very, very quickly. For that God force to create a solid object, it needs to slow itself down. So the process of creation is that this formless, invisible force slows down and becomes solid. The process of meditation is exactly the opposite. When you meditate with the proper guru or teacher, you actually go from solid to non-solid. What does that mean? When Kriya Yoga changes your blood, your mind becomes quiet. When your mind becomes quiet, you're going to have feelings like your body's on the other side of the room. You're going to feel light. You're going to feel like the bones are gone. There's nothing solid to you. So when you meditate, you go towards God. In other words, you become non-solid. When you create, you take from nothingness and you create something solid. So what I do when I teach my Kriya Yoga, I rely on the science of vibrations. In other words, I send out vibrations to you that quiet your mind. When your mind is quiet, your body starts to vibrate very, very quickly. When you vibrate more quickly, you are able to manifest and create from the invisible source. The people who are really powerful are the ones who have learned how to communicate with that very high frequency. God is a form of energy, and the quieter your mind is, the more contact. And then when you make more contact, you'll be less fearful. Fear comes from you taking a long time to meet your needs. Where's my salary? Where's my car? I don't have love in my life. I'm lonely. All of these things are lack. So that if you say, Kambiz, how do you help people bring in love, bring in money? How do you help them? The answer I give you is very unusual. I say to you, the more you surrender, me, the more you get in touch with the source. This business of me, Kambiz, Patsy, Melody, this idea of ego, me, this has a low vibration. So how do you become less me in meditation? In meditation, you forget your name. In meditation, you forget your nationality. In meditation, you become quiet. In that quietude, you get in touch with that source. That's why I call it surrender. You see, the most successful people are the softest. They're soft. They don't have so much ego. They're flexible. They're more quiet here. They can listen to nature. When they're talking to people, they sympathize with people. They listen. So people like them because it's not just me, I'm listening to you. Who are you? Then you like them. Then you cooperate. So, unbelievably enough, the fastest way to power is to quiet the mind and to quiet the ego. The ego means me. You know, most powerful people think that they create their own life. That's not true. You create big